Am I the asshole for having my husband fired? Can't believe I'm posting here, but here I go. I, 29 female. Have an ex, 34 male, Richard. It's been 3 years since we separated due to him being abusive and cheating. But we are not divorced as divorce is expensive in my country, and whenever I apply for divorce Richard insists on meditation. So divorce is not granted as one of us tries to save the marriage. He lives with his mistress and they have kid together that was conceived when we were still together. Due to both of them harassing and abusing me, I have a restraining order against both of them. My employer is aware of all of this as the utility company my ex works for supplies the buildings their offices are at, one of the major suppliers in the country. Now to the actual events. Due to restrictions, everyone is currently working from home with a few days in the office. Richard decided to show up at my work with his kid and demanded to see me for child support money since we are still legally married. As my employer is aware of the situation, the reception refused to tell him if I'm in the office or not, I was, and asked Richard to leave. Richard did not and security was called. As he was with his child, security couldn't use force to remove Richard, so reception threatened to call the utility company he works for. Richard didn't believe the reception can do it, so long story short, him and his mistress were fired with immediate effect as Richard showing up at my work has been seen as gross misconduct and they discovered Richard was his mistress' boss. Apparently his employer didn't know they were together and it's strictly forbidden to have a relationship with someone who is directly employed by you. The utility company apologized for Richard's actions and gave a considerable discount for their services to make sure the news of what happened wouldn't spread. Since they were fired, I'm getting calls from unknown numbers of various Richards, his mistress, family members and friends saying I'm responsible for it and just a jealous asshole for getting them fired to get Richard back. We still have some friends in common and they believe him getting fired and losing the only source of income they have is too harsh and I should have prevented that, shouldn't have spoken in the beginning about what happened. AITA? Edit. Just not to repeat myself in the comments. His family believes it's okay to have several partners and be responsible for kids even they are from affair. And according to our friends in common he spreads a lie that I couldn't get pregnant. I don't want and never wanted kids. So his mistress helped us with that, but then I overreacted and called it cheating, so he had to stay with her to support the kid. It's the same as what he pulled in the court when we were getting divorce alongside with his, I still love her and should have communicated better lies. So the court wouldn't grant a divorce as they believe he is trying to save the marriage and I'm being unreasonable. Edit 2. Thank you for the support. I'm getting a bit overwhelmed trying to reply to everyone, but just want to point out few things. His family beliefs are not normal for the country and I'm pretty sure they change if the situation would be other way round. My boss is also incredibly frustrated with the situation, so he gave me contacts of his friend who happens to be a family lawyer, who agreed to help me out at a discounted rate as he owes my boss a few favors. He sees why courts take that long and will try his best to make sure divorce is granted. He also works as no win no fee and believes we can win the case and get Richard to cover outstanding fees. And most importantly, no, I have not been paying child support to him and was not instructed to. The bit of claiming the child is mine as his mistress as a surrogate can be a bit complicated, but Mr. Lawyer, who I now owe a beer, said courts can't make me pay or accept it since there's no evidence of any agreement. Oh dear, this better be a joke. He ask.u.for child support.for.his adultery.kid. What the F in case this is real, not the asshole. A guy you have restraining order against showed up at your job, made a scene and got fired. You're obviously not the asshole here. NTA. It doesn't even sound like you actually had a role in any of this? Like it all went down with you unaware even. Not the asshole. And if I were you I'd buy that receptionist some flowers. Not the asshole. They got themselves fired by acting inappropriately. Not the asshole. You have a restraining order which he breached. He knew the chance he was taking just showing up at your office. I hope the coming year is more peaceful. Not the asshole. Richard got Richard fired for being an idiot. Why the hell would you even be paying child support for a kid that is not even yours? How did this even make sense to him in his head? Ridiculous. And #X200B. Hey honey, I cheated on you. It's your responsibility now to support the baby I had with another woman. Insert eyeroll here. People blaming you for their losing both sources of income are ignoring the fact that they chose to conduct an unethical relationship dating someone in your line of reporting, to say nothing of the affair, in the workplace. They're also ignoring the fact that he showed up to your place of employment to pick a fight, which could have had a negative impact on your employment. What employer wants employees' personal issues to seek them out and demand their attention during the workday as though there is no other time available? Not the asshole. Now please tell me how this child support bullshit works. Not you, op, take some time to be good to yourself. Am I the asshole for being upset my gift got split over 2 events? I, 28 female, have been a SOM for over 10 months now. I don't have a driver's license so I walk everywhere I go. For Christmas I got a bicycle, the first one I ever had that is actually meant for short people like myself, so that's great. When I asked about the baby seats my partner said he wanted me to pick the color, so he didn't buy them yet. Fast forward to mid-January, I've picked the seats and sent them over weeks ago, but I still can't use my Christmas present. I ask for it again and every time I get the same vague answer. Mill just came over and dropped off the seat as I won't be home on my actual birthday because they will be renovating our home then. I tried keeping my birthday free but the workers were busy. It's really sweet of her to give me those seats as a birthday present, and I am grateful. But I can't help that it stings that a means of transport for me and our son needs to be split over 2 gifts when everyone else's needs are met instantly. Is it really that ungrateful to be upset about this? Am I the asshole for being upset a bike was my Christmas and birthday present? Edit. I've tried to keep this objective because I wanted an opinion about this single issue. But there's just too much behind it. I'm supposed to leave this up but I am not the asshole here. Not the asshole. The bike sounds like a nice and thoughtful gift. However, those seats weren't a gift to you, they were a necessity for your son. It is akin to getting gifted a voucher to pay for your son's school, or been given clothes for your son for your b-day. Don't you have access to joint household accounts, from which you are able to afford the necessities without having to ask other people for them? Not the asshole. If the items were large enough purchases that it goes over budget for one gift event, then give them both at the Christmas event and have a smaller gift for birthday but make it a separate gift, like a necklace or something. It's like getting a console as a Christmas gift but then not having any games to play on it until a month later. It's just a useless brick until the second piece is there. Not the asshole. And by the way, it isn't a present. It's necessary to transport your child. That's like someone giving you a car seat for your birthday. As soon as I hear the word allowance, my hackles rise. We're in the 21st century, FFS. Nothing about your partnership sounds equal and the baby seat situation is just one example of many disparities. I suspect you already know this, though, so time to do some serious thinking. Not the asshole. Info: do you and your partner have any financial constraints, which would mean giving you a bike immediately, not as a gift, would be challenging? That, keep whatever is left over, money. Yeah. You need to start squirreling that away. You will need it one day. I can promise you that. After you straighten out the financial stuff, learn to drive. You will regret not knowing how unless you live in a city and/or country with great public transportation. If not, you will always be dependent on someone else. Even the bike is not a gift. Presumably you need the bike, or some sort of transport. But I digress. Solid. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my roommate her mom can't stay at our apartment? Me, 25F, and my roommate, 25F, have been living together for almost 6 months now. We are both nurses, work in different hospitals, and have been friends since nursing school 5-ish years ago. For some background, I have 2 sisters and I am the youngest in our family. My mom divorced my dad and left our family when I was 2 years old. My dad is amazing and became the best single dad in the world. Was both dad and mom for his 3 daughters. He's literally my best friend. Anyway. My dad, 67M, lives 2 hours away now. In October, I had a Friday, Saturday and Sunday off in a row. I missed my dad a lot and told him I was coming home to see him. He said he'd love to see me, but asked if he could come to where I live since he had some friends he wanted to see as well. I said of course. I told my roommate he was coming to visit for the weekend and she said, "Cool, is he staying at ________ hotel? Which is a hotel close by." I said, "Well, I thought he could stay here, he can stay in my room and I'll sleep on an air mattress on my floor." She basically said she thought he should stay in a hotel. I figured she didn't want the apartment cramped, we've never had guests stay for that long, and my dad said he didn't mind. So the 2 of us stayed at the hotel for the weekend. Fast forward to now, my friend informed me that her mom is coming to visit and is planning on staying a week at our apartment. I was confused and said, "She's not staying at ______ hotel?" And she pretty much said what I told her about how I planned for my dad to stay. I called her out on it and said that my dad was only coming for 2 nights and she didn't want him here, and that her mom is staying for a week. She told me that having my dad stay and having her mom stay are completely different because it's a female and not a male. I got really upset with her statement. My dad has always been so nice and welcoming to her. He and I will meet halfway for dinner once a month, and my roommate has gone with us on several occasions. I got really upset with my roommate and told her that I didn't want her mom to stay at our apartment and she needed to stay at the hotel like my dad had to do. My roommate is now mad at me, but I feel like I'm justified in being upset at the double standard. AITA. Edit number 1. We've both had male guests come and stay before. We've always been respectful and let each other know when they were staying over. That's never been an issue. Edit number 2. When she said no to my dad staying, she never mentioned it was because he was a male. She said that our apartment would be cramped and that she had to work some of those days and had to go to sleep early, wake up early. Only mentioned it was because he was a male when I called her out on it when she told me her mom was staying. Thanks so much for everyone's input. Smile. Not the asshole. If the rule is no air mattress campouts, then no air mattress campouts. Mom can stay in a hotel. Not the asshole. Your roommate is a hypocrite. There is also a big difference between 2 nights and a week. Not the asshole, she created the rule, only fair it applies to her too. Not the asshole. Sorry, but to me male or female doesn't matter. It is still an extra person who needs to be accommodated with bathroom usage, laundry, etc. In my opinion her mom can follow the same rule, which is stay at the hotel. She could then do what you did, which is stay at the hotel with her mom. Not the asshole, but you and your roommate need to work on your communication and establish rules for guests that you both need to follow. If she is uncomfortable having men stay over, which likely has nothing to do with your dad as an individual, that's valid, but she should have told you that initially and you two could have discussed it. But she has now drawn a "no guests" line in the sand and has to stick with it. Not the asshole. Pretend your dad has last-minute plans close to you guys soon and he is going to stay 1 night at your place. If she says no, then her mom better stay her ass at a hotel. Lol, but seriously, like you said, she has been around him before, so IDK why she had a problem with it. Not the asshole. It is completely a double standard and a week is a long time to have someone stay at your place. Not the asshole. You asked her why and she said because the apartment would be cramped, she has to work, didn't want you to keep her awake, but didn't mention anything about him being your dad. Until later when you didn't want her mum to stay, and then all of a sudden, it's because he's a male. I call bullshit on that. She didn't want him there because it was inconvenient for her, but she don't care if she put you in the same situation for a even longer period of time. Is that for every male? Are you or her never having a BF sleeping over? Am I the asshole for not allowing my transitioning brother borrow my nicer clothes? I, 27 male, have a brother, 16 female TM, who came out as trans about a year ago. To say the least, my parents are assholes, so he lives with me currently. I bought my brother some clothes, just some more generic lower-priced clothes, about $750 spent so far, since all his older stuff, in his words, are too femme, and he doesn't have a job and no support from our parents. But he constantly asks if he can borrow my nicer clothes, nothing too crazy, but I have a few pieces that are fat on the price department, so I'd like to keep them in good condition. At the beginning, I let him, but the dude's a slob. One time he came home and the sweater, $350, he borrowed looked like he kept wiping his nose on the sleeve. It was nasty. Another time, a pair of pants, $200. Looked like he was legit just rolling in grass with them. Every time he borrows my clothes it looks like he just doesn't care enough to keep them nice. Like, I don't make that much, so when I spend way more than actually needed on an item, I'd like to be able to wear them for a long time, so I've barred him from borrowing any of my nicer clothing. To say he's pissed is an understatement. He says I can always just clean the clothes since I would anyways, and I told him he could at least attempt to keep them clean, like in the first place. I told him if he wants nicer clothes, he can get a job. It got to the point where I actually put a lock on my door to keep him out of my room. He thinks I'm an asshole. I know I may be putting too much importance on my clothes, and objectively, it is silly. Which brings me here, am I the asshole? I'm sorry, 16-year-olds should not have access to a $350 sweater if they can't take care of it. No, the kid should be happy to get something new at Target. And if they want something nicer, then they can go get a job. Maybe they would appreciate and take care of the clothes. Not the asshole. Edit to add that I like Target and shop there. Not the asshole. I wouldn't let a 16-year-old wear my $350 sweater either. Not the asshole. He sounds like a typical teenager who has not yet learned anything about financial responsibility. He's just being a kid. Letting him continue to wear and ruin your clothes will only teach him that he doesn't have to learn the value of having nice things. Maybe offer to give him an allowance to do chores around the house so he can save up and buy a couple of nice pieces of his own. That would help teach him the value of $1 and how much those things actually cost. You'd be contributing to his upbringing in a positive way, and you would also be able to keep your clothes nice and new. Remember, if your parents are not in his life right now, the parenting does kind of fall to you, as he's only 16 and still needs a fair amount of guidance. Not the asshole. Transitioning doesn't give him the right to be a slob and disrespect your belongings, and you sound open to letting him borrow them again if he shows he can take good care of them. That's just basic responsibility. Not the asshole. You said the clothes in question were fairly expensive, and that you do not earn all that much. Likely had to save up for them, and he refuses to respect that based on the way he acted when you borrowed him your stuff earlier. Even bought him some stuff, and are letting him live with you. Sounds like he does not realize the value these nicer clothes have and might have not been talked to about the worth of money by your parents. Not the asshole. He sounds like a teen for sure, however. Hopefully he gets his shit together and realizes that to borrow people's things, you treat them with respect. Info before the transition: did your sibling take care of their clothes? Or has your sibling bought into a stereotype, erroneous, that men don't really care about things and are slobs, and that it is okay to be a slob? And maybe the slob has a person that cleans up for them? Well, dude, are you this 16-year-old's housekeeper? I'm sorry, butler? Not the asshole. It sounds like this is part of a swing against perceived femininity and taking care of clothes. Perhaps have a discussion about what being a man means and doesn't mean.